Hi everyone, welcome back to my videos on my current pregnancy. Today is going to be a little bit of a rant, so there could be swearing. I could go into a little bit of gory detail with what's going on with my body, so this is your warning before you go ahead and watch the rest of this video. So, I am 12 days overdue. Yes, almost 2 weeks past my original due date. On my last video, I was explaining at the end that I was hoping to have a little baby in my arms. And look, we're still not here. Oh, you're gonna laugh, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. But yeah. To say I'm fed up is a really polite, nice way of describing how I'm feeling right now. So just to let you know, this is Bump. It's just ginormous. I showed a friend a picture of it the other day and she said, I don't know how you're not carrying it around in a bag. And that's a really good point. I don't know how either. So I'm generally feeling okay. I can't complain considering I've been having a lot more Braxton Hicks, a lot stronger Braxton Hicks than usual. I've been having the period pain feeling on and off, but ironically not as much as I did a couple of weeks ago. It's been just very much Braxton Hicks going on. The Braxton Hicks feels just a general tightness, or like a tight feeling all across the bump, and it's not coming in waves like contractions would be. It's just a constant tightness, and it will go on for about half an hour to an hour, and then it might get a little bit better. But usually when I tend to either get and move around or lie down and rest, it tends to change. So, and I've been told that that's the typical Braxton Hicks or practice contractions. So in my last video, I might have explained to you that I needed to have another growth scan because my bump was measuring small compared to the number of weeks. And the midwife at the time said not to worry about it too much because it's just a screening tool, but they have to do something about it, which is fair enough. So I went along to the hospital, had another scan. Baby has been now measuring slightly under the sort of targeted line. It was the trajectory line of weight that it was before. But saying that, it's still a very healthy weight for the baby to be. At the time, it was measuring 6 pounds 8 ounces, which was around 3.1 kilograms. So even if I had the baby back then 2 weeks ago, it still would have been fine. It still would have been a healthy weight. But clearly, it's not cooked enough. So here we are, 12 days later. So I had the scan first, then I had to wait to see the consultant, and unfortunately the consultant was busy at the time, so I had to wait around for a while. And during that time, the midwives were really, really kind, and they said, well, you're on your due date, would you want another sweep while you're here? Well, why not? Anything to try and get the baby out at this point. So I had what was then my second sweep, and it was horrendous. At the time, I hated the midwife doing it, but looking back at it now, I have to give her a little bit of kudos for wanting to get this baby out as much as I do. She said at the time that I was 1 centimetre dilated, which was good news. And then afterwards, in the afternoon after the appointment, my mucus plug came out. So I hadn't had my mucus plug up to that point. Eventually, when I went for a wee and wiped, there on the tissue was this very gunky, snotty looking substance. Nice way of putting it. So for those of you who haven't experienced a mucus plug before, it's basically it's like a mucousy seal or plug or cork or whatever you want to say that is around the cervix, which stops bacteria getting up into the baby. And when the cervix starts to change and thin and dilate, this mucus plug comes out. So it's a good sign. It means that your body is preparing itself for labour. This doesn't necessarily mean, however, that labour is imminent. It doesn't mean it's, you know, hours or days away. Sometimes it can be weeks. And as I said, I'm experiencing this now. So that happened, the mucus plug started happening or coming away 12 days ago. Since then, however, the mucus plug has been gradually coming away over the last 12 days. So it hasn't come out in one big clump as I envisaged. It's coming away in parts. And I have been reading up and saying that what can happen is that your mucus plug can come out, but then it can grow back, and that you can have it come out over several weeks or several periods of time. I got all excited on the day thinking that it could have been happening at any point, but no, unfortunately not. So at that appointment in the hospital, the same day I had my scan and my second sweep, I eventually spoke to the doctor, who then advised me to be booked in for a Cook's balloon induction. So what this basically is a non-chemical or hormonal way of inducing labour. This is done by inserting a pipe or a little tube up into your vagina, and it sits either side of the cervix. So the cervix is in the middle, and you've got a balloon here and a balloon here, and they fill those balloons with saline or normal water, and they inflate. And what they're meant to basically do is try and start ripening or softening your cervix, and then start that dilation process. I'm feeling quite positive about it, to be honest. It's had good success ratings, and I'm happier to know that I am going to be induced using non-chemical ways. So not using oxytocin or syntocin, and not using a pessary either, full of prostaglandins, because both of those ways can be quite can lead to quite hard labours. The other thing is, obviously, is that I've had a C-section in the past, so anything that is hormonal like that tends to be putting the scar, your previous scar, more at risk of rupturing. So the Cook's balloon seems like a good idea to try out. This doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work though, unfortunately. I could still end up being induced through different measures, or we might still have to go down the planned C-section route, but time's ticking. I'm now 12 days overdue, so something needs to happen soon, else I'm going to have the gestation period of an elephant. So I haven't been booked in to check the placenta. One of the risks of going so far overdue is that the placenta can stop working, which means obviously oxygen to the baby is compromised and things like that. Because I had a scan at 40 weeks, and I think they checked everything then, I think they were happy with the amniotic fluid level and the placenta there. So I don't think they had anything too much to worry about. And when I spoke to the midwives, they did suggest just to ring up if there's any reduced movements, which there hasn't been. Baby's still kicking and wiggling away. We have literally tried everything. I say we because my husband has been involved, as you can imagine. We have tried sex, the obvious one, raspberry leaf tea, ball bouncing on my big exercise ball. I've had long power walks, you know, minimum of half an hour, with great big thumping music to try and, you know, get my endorphins going. That hasn't worked. Spicy foods, you know, we've had curry and got all sorts of really spicy things, concoctions, and in fact it seems like most of what we eat now, you know, we just grab the cayenne pepper and just add a bit of heat to it just to see if it would do anything. Nipple stimulation. So I pumped for a good 2 weeks. I've given up now just because my nipples are already red raw. So, but the midwife actually suggested to hand express, which is more natural than the pumping with a machine. So I've been doing that as well, but again, nothing. All this as well as having a total of 4 sweeps. So I've had a stretch and sweep 4 times now, and I feel like the whole of the UK has seen my vagina. The one thing I haven't tried yet is castor oil. So I've read on a few lists of things to try if you're wanting to try and induce labour, if you're overdue. The more I've read up on it, the more I don't feel comfortable about using it. It does suggest that it can really play havoc with your digestive system, and I think that's the way it works. It basically causes you to have diarrhea and really clear out your system, and I think this is what causes contractions to start. But I just don't feel comfortable about messing around with my body too much to that extent. I don't want my body to think that it's having contractions when actually it's just really, really nasty stomach cramps from you having diarrhea, and also it can lead to dehydration as well. So I'm not really keen to pursue that if I can help it. But saying that, 12 days overdue. At this point, I'm pretty much willing to do anything. That's my little rant and my little update. It's a little short one today. I just wanted to keep you up to date because I'm still without child. Hopefully next time there will be a baby. There will be a baby. I'm waiting for the hospital to give me a ring to book in when I'm going to come in to have the cook's balloon procedure. I think that it's just going to be a bit of a manic time at the moment in the hospital settings, and I think they're going to push back the non-urgent ones such as myself until Monday. So it might be a couple of days before I manage to get into the hospital for the cook's balloon procedure. But this will be my last video, I promise you. It'll be my last video before baby arrives. I just thought I'd give you a little bit of an update because I'm going mad.